District. It's an honor to welcome Vice President Kamala Harris, Governor Roy Cooper, and EPA Secretary and North Carolina A&T alum Michael Regan to the 6th District. Today, we stand on the campus of Guilford Technical Community College, one of two premier community colleges located in this district, and it's fitting that we're here to discuss the American Jobs Plan, a transformational infrastructure package that will invest in our people, our communities, and our economy. GTCC has served our community for more than 60 years and today has 35,000 students taking classes in more than 80 programs. These students come from diverse backgrounds. The student body is 57% female, 37% African American, and many are the first in their families to attend college. The student population reflects our community's diversity, and the skills they learn at GTCC help to build and grow our workforce. Our region has worked hard to adapt to a changing economy. Over the years, we've seen our thriving textile and furniture manufacturing industries decline, and we've been able to pivot to new industries, including a budding aerospace industry. GTCC, which offers world-class aviation programs, is at the forefront of training the next generation of our workforce and shaping our local economy. In Washington, I'm proud to be working with my colleagues in the U.S. House and the Biden-Harris administration to create a future with a modern infrastructure, robust workforce development, and a bustling economy with opportunity for all Americans. I'm fighting for investments in the expansion of broadband, school infrastructure, public transportation, workforce development, and affordable housing. These investments will lead to new jobs and sustainable, resilient infrastructure that will catapult our communities into the next century of innovation. These once-in-a-generation investments will make a world of difference to communities like ours. For years, too many people in our area have been left behind. We've lacked opportunities for good-paying jobs, affordable housing, and environmentally sustainable choices that combat climate change and keep our air and water clean for generations to come. Now is the time to build back better and more equitably than before. The American Jobs Plan will help us do that. Together, we're charting a more sustainable and exciting course for the future of North Carolina. Together, we can get it done. It's my pleasure now to introduce one of the finest governors in the country, Governor Roy Cooper.
Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you, Congresswoman Manning. I see Congresswoman Adams out there, too. We have a great congressional delegation and grateful for them. And a lot of legislators that I see. My Secretary of Commerce, Michelle Sanders, is here. North Carolina is so proud today to host Vice President Kamala Harris and to welcome home EPA Administrator Michael Regan. We're so proud of Michael, and now he's working for all of us in the Biden-Harris administration. It feels particularly special to have him back here in Greensboro because, as we know, Michael Regan is a proud graduate of North Carolina A&T State University, Aggie Pride. And as I often recruit companies to come to North Carolina, I talk about North Carolina A&T State graduating more black engineers than any other four-year institution in the country. Administrator Regan is a great fit for the Biden-Harris administration because he knows the importance of listening to everyone and getting results. And we've seen so far this year that he shares those traits with President Biden and Vice President Harris and their team. And let me say how great it is to welcome Vice President Harris to North Carolina. We were attorneys general at the same time of our respective states of North Carolina and California. We worked closely to protect consumers during the foreclosure crisis. We worked hard to protect our environment. We did good things together then, and we're doing good things together now. Already this year, we've seen the President and the Vice President take charge and escalate support to all of the states so that we can begin to emerge from this global pandemic. The governors in this country can tell you the difference between administrations and how much help we are getting now from the Biden-Harris administration in fighting this pandemic. But they understand that simply returning to the old normal isn't good enough. This pandemic is shining a light on inequities and challenges that have long existed. And we need to ensure a shared recovery where every American sees opportunity. But if we're going to build back better, we need stronger infrastructure to spur recovery and help our communities thrive. President Biden and Vice President Harris understand that this is a moment to reimagine and rebuild a new American economy that can outcompete the rest of the world, and it works for all of the people. But they know you can't rank 13th in the world in infrastructure and expect your economy to be the best. The Biden-Harris administration understands that not only do we need to invest in our current infrastructure, like rebuilding crumbling roads and bridges, but we must ensure that every American has access to high-speed internet and to clean water. And we need to understand how our economy and our communities are getting connected and strengthen them from the ground up. The Biden-Harris administration are all too aware that previous recoveries haven't benefited everyone, and they are determined not to let that happen again. This plan invests in people who need care and in communities that have been systematically excluded for generations, including communities of color and rural communities. The President and the Vice President also understand that rebuilding our economy means addressing the climate crisis and investing in the jobs of the future. A green economy that means healthier communities and better paying jobs. Industries that can grow and allow America to continue to lead the world. I'm proud that the President hired our next speaker, Michael Regan, to head the EPA, because Michael worked with us here in North Carolina to prove that we can bring businesses and communities together to find solutions that benefit our economy and our environment, that strengthen our resilience and our good-paying jobs. His work in bringing people together to help enact My Clean Energy Plan, Executive Order 80, has been extraordinary. And it's why I told the President and the Vice President that taking this good man was okay. I didn't like it, but it was okay. Now he can use all of his talents and skills to represent and help all of the people of the United States, not just North Carolinians. I'm very proud to present to you my friend and the current EPA Administrator, Michael Regan.
Well, I have to say thank you, Governor Cooper. It's always good to be with Governor Cooper. Washington, D.C. is nice, but it doesn't compare to North Carolina. Governor, thank you for your exceptional leadership, your tireless work on behalf of the people of North Carolina, and the strong partnership that your administration will have with EPA. I also want to thank the governor for being able to say Aggie pride as well as I can. It's an honor to join Vice President Harris here at Guilford Technical Community College, one of the premier community colleges in the United States of America, and just around the corner from my alma mater, the premier university, North Carolina Agricultural and Technical State University. Thank you, President Clark, for hosting us today and for your service to Guilford County and to the community. Congresswoman Manning, it's a pleasure to be with you in your district. I want to thank you for your efforts on renewable energy and for prioritizing the communities that have been hit hardest during these past few years. It's also great to be here with all of the elected officials and what I'd like to describe as North Carolina's finest. In North Carolina, we've proven time and time again that environmental protection and economic prosperity, they're not mutually exclusive. They actually go hand in hand. That's the mentality that we're leading with at the Environmental Protection Agency, and that's the same mentality that President Biden and Vice President Harris are leading with in this White House. We're moving beyond the old argument that pitting creation of jobs and protecting the environment against one another is true. The American Jobs Plan recognizes that addressing the climate crisis also creates a huge economic opportunity for our country. We can create good-paying jobs by powering our future with clean energy while rebuilding our nation's aging infrastructure. As we build this new infrastructure, we must be sure that it's resilient and strengthened so that it can survive the impacts of climate change, including extreme weather events. As with many states, North Carolina is on the front line of climate-led disasters, like in 2018 when Hurricane Florence led to over 42 deaths in our state, causing more than $16 billion in damage to homes, businesses, and critical infrastructure. The American Jobs Plan would invest over $50 billion to better prepare these communities for extreme events and make essential services more resilient, including the electric grid, food systems, community health and hospitals, roads, and other transportation infrastructure. As North Carolinians know all too well, climate stress is also water stress. Droughts, flooding, sea level rise. The water sector is central to managing these climate stresses. But America's water infrastructure today is not up to the task. Over the next 20 years, North Carolina's drinking water infrastructure will require somewhere between $17 and $20 billion in additional funding. And nationwide, that number is approximately $743 billion. So North Carolina is not alone. That's why the American Jobs Plan includes an unprecedented commitment to building a modern, climate-resistant water infrastructure, a $111 billion investment to revitalize our water infrastructure, wastewater, drinking water, stormwater systems, tackle new emerging contaminants, and support clean water infrastructure across rural America. An investment of this scale and scope would create nearly 2 million good-paying jobs all across this nation. The Biden-Harris administration is also making children's health a top priority. The American Jobs Plan calls for replacing 100% of lead pipes that plague too many American communities, many of which are low-income and communities of color. This is a win-win-win. We can put Americans to work while eliminating pernicious public health threats and delivering on environmental justice and equity to communities that have borne the brunt of pollution for far too long. At the heart of the American Jobs Plan is an understanding that people in this country are hurting, now more than ever. They're having to make tough choices between paying their energy bills and buying food and medicine. Those are choices that no one should have to make. On average, a low-income family in North Carolina spends somewhere between 8 and 10% of their income on home energy costs. The American Jobs Plan would cut energy bills for these families by making their homes more energy efficient through investments in weatherization assistance programs, a new clean energy and sustainability accelerator to finance building improvements, and expand tax credits to support home energy upgrades. Another key plank of the plan includes investing in a cleaner transportation system. Later this afternoon, Vice President Harris and I are taking a tour of the Thomas Built Buses facility, the motherland of great American yellow school buses. As a child, I'm not quite sure that I would be as excited to tour a school bus headquarters, but today, I'm really looking forward to it. And I know Vice President Harris is as well. As a member of the United States Senate, Vice President Harris led to push the spur of adopting electric school buses. This is an issue that is near and dear to her heart, and is near and dear to us at EPA as well. That's why I'm so proud that the American Jobs Plan would invest $20 billion to transition at least 20% of our yellow school bus fleet to electric vehicles through a new Clean Buses for Kids program at EPA. These investments will put the United States on a path to achieve 100% clean school buses. This means cleaner, healthier air for all of our kids as they make their way to and from school, and also good-paying jobs in the bus manufacturing and assembly sector. The American Jobs Plan is a historic investment in American ingenuity, in the hardworking men and women who built this great country, and in a robust, clean energy economy. It will make for a healthier, more equitable community right here in Greensboro, North Carolina, and all across this country. So I'm very proud to say to Madam Vice President, from one HBCU grad to another, I'm grateful to be on her team, and I'm even more inspired by her leadership. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Vanessa Kishkarian. My family is ethnically Armenian, and my great-grandparents left Armenia in 1915 for Cuba and Argentina, respectively. My grandparents eventually immigrated to the United States, where my parents grew up and eventually met. I was born in West New York, New Jersey, and moved to North Carolina when I was 11 years old. I reside in High Point, North Carolina, with my wife, Coral Kaplan, who works as a sign language interpreter, and our 4 children, who we have raised here. I am a first-generation college student and the only one of my siblings to graduate from college. My goal after high school was college, though I didn't really know what I wanted to do as a career post-college. Prior to enrolling in my current course of studies, I attended both Guilford Technical Community College and the University of North Carolina, Greensboro. When I learned of the Computer Integrated Machining program here at Guilford Technical Community College, I came to tour the campus and was instantly drawn to it. I remember watching my grandfather and my dad working on embroidery machines and developing their craft. Eventually, they were able to establish their own business. The machines I saw in the shop here brought a sense of nostalgia and pride in my heritage. I enrolled in the program, and I haven't looked back. I have been a student in this program since August of 2019. I have learned so much and benefited from the technology available here to me as a student and from the supportive and knowledgeable instructors in my program. I am truly grateful for the opportunity that I have had as a student here and look forward to graduating in May and starting my career. There are a couple of local factories that I am planning to apply with, and I look forward to getting my foot in the door and further developing my skills in coding and production. Eventually, I hope to save and be able to buy some machines of my own and start my own business with my wife. And now for the main event. It is my honor today to introduce our guests on behalf of Guilford Technical Community College and our greater Triad community. Vice President Harris is the child of immigrant parents who encouraged her to pursue education and follow her dream in order to impact her community and world in positive ways. Vice President Harris attended law school and then entered into serving her community as the District Attorney of San Francisco, the Attorney General of California, and a U.S. Senator representing the state of California. And then she made history when she was elected the Vice President of the United States. During her time in office, Vice President Harris has been working alongside President Biden to accomplish many things, including rolling out vaccines to get millions of Americans vaccinated and defeating the COVID-19 virus, getting stimulus checks delivered to millions of Americans in need, and by supporting women and small businesses and American workers who have been impacted and struggled as a result of the pandemic. Currently, Vice President Harris and President Joe Biden are working to pass the American Jobs Plan, which will support American infrastructure and the economy, providing jobs and financial stability to workers across our nation. The American Jobs Plan would specifically help students like myself from schools like GTCC. I'm excited to hear what the Vice President has to share with us today, so it is my honor to present to you Vice President Kamala Harris.
Good afternoon. Please have a seat. Good afternoon. It is so wonderful to be back in North Carolina, and I just want to thank you, everyone. Vanessa, your story is extraordinary, and thank you for all you have accomplished. You are truly a role model for so many. And Dr. Anthony Clark, I want to thank you for the warm welcome. It is truly an honor to be with North Carolina's own EPA Administrator, Michael Regan, with my longstanding friend, Governor Roy Cooper, and with Congresswoman Kathy Manning. You know, on January 20th, just hours after President Joe Biden and I took the oath of office, I stood in front of the Lincoln Memorial that evening, and I talked about what I call American aspiration. I talked about how in America, we not only dream, we do. We not only see what has been, we see what can be. We shoot for the moon, and then we plant our flag on it. And now we are already 90 days into our administration. And folks, we have seen American aspiration at work. We set a goal to get 100 million shots in arms in 100 days. And through the innovation of scientists, the hard work of manufacturers, and the determination of the American people, we will soon pass 200 million. We made a commitment to get checks directly to the American people. And to date, 159 million have been sent out, and more jobs have been created in the first 2 months of our administration than in the first 2 months of any other White House in history. Help is here. Help is here. And hope is here. And things are looking up. Schools are reopening. Businesses are reopening. Grandparents are seeing their grandchildren in person. We are delivering real relief. And the American people are now able to breathe easier and sleep better. And we are not done. The President and I are ready to keep going. And we are not going to take it slow. And we are not going to take it one step at a time. Nope. We are going to take a giant leap into the future. And so that is what the American Jobs Plan is all about. It's a once-in-a-lifetime, once-in-a-generation investment in America's infrastructure, in America's future. It is what the American people deserve. It will keep our nation competitive, it will build up our nation's communities, and it will put our nation back to work. You know, as nearly 10 million Americans remain unemployed, more than 250,000 right here in North Carolina, the American Jobs Plan will create millions of jobs. It will be the largest jobs investment our country has made since World War II. And it's not only about jobs, it's about good jobs. Good jobs for every worker. Good jobs for every worker everywhere. You know, over the years, folks here in Greensboro have shown me around their hometown with great pride about where they're from. And too often, though, and we've seen this around the country, too often, though, opportunity knocks from far away. And their children grow up and have to move away. But that should be a choice, not a necessity. And that's why we want to bring opportunity closer to home. Through our American Jobs Plan, a pipe fitter in Chicago could get a good job replacing lead pipes in their own city. An electrician in Helena could get a good job laying broadband lines a few towns over. A forklift operator right here in Greensboro could get a good job fixing the road they drive on every day. Now, the phrase good job is one you've probably heard a lot about, but I want to break down what I mean when I talk about a good job. In the 21st century, in America, I believe you should not have to work more than one job to be able to pay your bills and feed your family. One good job should be enough. At a good job, you shouldn't have to worry about your safety. You shouldn't have to worry about whether you have the ability to get a good life because you might have to go in debt for a diploma that promises a decent paycheck. It's pretty simple. A good job allows people the freedom to build the life you want, to reach as high as you want, to aspire. That's what a good job does. And good jobs are what the President and I will create with the American Jobs Plan. We will draw on the skills that millions of workers in our country already have. Just look at what's happening here. The skills of pipe fitters and electricians and welders, construction workers and factory workers and transit workers, and care workers too. And if you don't have those skills, or if you want to learn other skills, we intend to help you get them. The truth is, a lot of jobs out there require some education after high school. Let's speak that truth. The truth is that almost every job that will be a good job will require some amount of education after high school. But here's how I think about that. We can't just talk about higher education without thinking about what kind of training Americans need to get hired. Instead of simply framing it as higher education, let's create a variety of opportunities for education after high school. And for some, that's a training program or an apprenticeship to get the certificate they need to get the job they want. For some, that's a technical college, just like this one. And for others, it's a 4-year college degree. There isn't only one path to success. A majority of the jobs we will create through the American Jobs Plan will require at most 6 months of training after high school. And we're going to invest in workforce development in a big way. We're also going to create as many as 2 million new registered apprenticeship slots. And we're going to make sure that these opportunities are equally available to women as well as men. Because there's an interesting fact, in case you didn't know, hard hats are actually unisex. Everybody's laughing. So now the best way, I also believe, to get a good job is through a strong union. Union members have better pay, better health care, better retirement, better protections on the job. I believe every worker in America deserves the ability to organize or join a union. And there's another thing about American jobs and the American Jobs Plan. It will not only create good jobs, it will have a big impact on communities. It will have a big impact on people's quality of life at home. Let's talk about, for example, broadband. The world runs online, and yet millions of Americans, many of whom live in rural America, do not have access to broadband, and if they do, it is not affordable. Broadband impacts our economy. It impacts our education system, our healthcare system. And I'm talking about small business owners who don't have the literal bandwidth to grow their businesses, students who can't study at home, who have to drive to the local McDonald's, to the parking lot to get access to their Wi-Fi. Seniors who haven't seen their doctor because in the middle of a pandemic, telemedicine is not an option for them. The President and I are determined to make sure that every person in our country can access broadband and afford it. Let's talk about water. There are more than 1 million miles of pipes that deliver drinking water to homes across America. For as many as 10 million American families, many families of color, those pipes are made of lead. So here's what drinking water from a lead pipe can do to the human body. For adults, it can increase your blood pressure and decrease kidney function. For children, it stunts growth and can cause damage to the brain. In fact, the Centers for Disease Control, they're quite clear when they say lead exposure harms our children. That is why we are going to replace every lead service line in our country and invest in our country's water infrastructure. You know, at its root, I believe that infrastructure is about all the support systems that make our country work. Roads that keep us moving, water that keeps us healthy, broadband that keeps us connected, and care, child care, home care. Because here's the thing. Think about it. Care, child care, home care keeps us working. It keeps working people working. Just ask any parent who has been home with their kids for the last year. Ask anybody who has been caring for their mother or their father for the last year. Care should be readily available and affordable to working people. And caregivers should be paid fairly and treated with dignity and respect. And small business owners who run child care and home care businesses must be fully supported. Care infrastructure is a basic foundational support system for our nation. It is part of the infrastructure that allows us to be productive, to do the work that we must do, to be functional as a society. And I believe it is past time we invest in it. And here is the bottom line. This plan, the American Jobs Plan, is not just about fixing what has been. It is about building what can be. And I do believe this, then, is the very definition of American aspiration. And this is the very definition of America. The capacity of our nation has never been in question. The ingenuity of our nation has been the envy of the world. That was true when we built the Transcontinental Railroad. That was true when we brought electricity to every household in America. That was true when we raced to the moon. And that will be true when the United States Congress passes the American Jobs Plan. And North Carolina, the President and I are determined to get this done. And like you, like Americans everywhere, we are not afraid of the hard work it will take. So, for all of that, I thank you, North Carolina. It is so good to be back. May God bless you, and may God bless America. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.